Welcome back to Cozy English Corner, everyone. I am your host, Alex, and we have a truly fascinating conversation lined up for you today. Joining me is Elena, an architect based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Elena, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Alex. I am currently looking out my office window at about 3 feet of snow, so it is the perfect day to stay inside and talk.
I can only imagine. The winters in the Midwest are legendary. How is your apartment handling the cold?
Well, that is actually a funny story. My building is older, so the heating system is unpredictable. Last night it was freezing, so the building manager turned the boiler up. By this morning, my apartment was like a sauna. I texted my friend and said, "It is very hot." Then I immediately corrected myself and typed, "No, it is too hot."
That right there is exactly what we are discussing today. Very versus too. And we will also bring enough into the mix.
It is such a common struggle for English learners. Even native speakers use them carelessly. But changing very to too completely changes the message, doesn't it?
It does. Let us start with very. I like to call very the neutral reporter. It simply increases the intensity of an adjective without adding any judgment.
So if I say my coffee is very hot, I am just stating a fact. It is hotter than usual, but I am not complaining about it.
Exactly. You are just turning up the volume knob on the word hot. The weather is very cold. The exam was very difficult. You are simply delivering information.
That makes sense. In my work, if I tell a client, this marble countertop is very expensive, I am just informing them of the price tier. It is a fact.
Right, but what happens if you tell that same client, this marble countertop is too expensive?
Oh, that changes everything. If I say it is too expensive, I am telling them we cannot buy it. It breaks the budget. It is a problem.
Precisely. If very is the reporter, too is the alarm bell. When you use too, you are signaling that a limit has been crossed and there is a negative consequence.
I see. So when my apartment was too hot this morning, it meant I could not sleep, or I was sweating uncontrollably. There is a hidden because attached to the word too.
That is a brilliant way to put it. There is always a hidden because or a hidden consequence. The coffee is too hot, so I cannot drink it.
I hear my international clients make this mistake often. They will look at a beautiful design proposal and say, "Elena, this is too beautiful." And my heart drops for a second.
Because you think they're finding a problem with it.
Exactly. I think, is it too elegant for their brand? Does it look too fragile? But they just mean very beautiful. They're trying to give a compliment.
This is rule number 1 for our listeners. Never use too for positive things unless you are making a specific joke. Too implies trouble. Stick to very or really for compliments.
There is a deep psychological weight to the word too, isn't there? When I think about my career, people always say things like, "You are working too hard," or "You care too much."
That is a profound point. We use too to indicate burnout or failure. It is the language of exceeding human limits.
Right. We rarely talk about the emotional side of grammar. When someone says, "You are too sensitive," they are invalidating your feelings. They are saying your emotional state is a problem.
And that ties perfectly into a fascinating scientific concept. Cognitive linguists have studied how the human brain processes the word too.
Really? What did they find?
They found that when a sentence contains the word too, the listener's brain immediately increases cognitive load. The brain starts searching for the negative consequence, even before you finish speaking.
Wow. So if I say, "The project timeline is too," my team is already bracing for bad news. Their brains are preparing for a problem.
Exactly. But if you say, "The project timeline is very tight," they just register it as a challenging fact. They do not immediately panic.
That changes how I want to communicate at work. I need to be careful not to ring the alarm bell unnecessarily.
Now, let us introduce the third word, enough. If very is the reporter and too is the alarm bell, what is enough?
I would say enough is the stamp of approval. It means something has reached the required standard. It is the perfect middle ground.
The Goldilocks word: not too hot, not too cold, just right. But grammatically, enough is where most learners stumble.
Because of the word order, right? With very and too, the word goes before the adjective. Very cold, too cold.
Yes, but with enough, it goes after the adjective. You do not say enough warm. You say warm enough.
This feels so backwards for many people. It feels like you are putting the cart before the horse. The room is big enough. The coffee is hot enough.
I tell my students to think of the adjective as a test. Hot. Did it pass the test? Yes, it is hot enough. The approval comes at the end.
That is a great visual. But wait, it changes when we talk about nouns, doesn't it? Like money or time.
You nailed it. When enough modifies a noun, it goes before the noun. I have enough money. We have enough chairs.
So quality comes first, then enough. But enough comes first, then quantity. Good enough versus enough time.
Exactly. Quality after, quantity before. It sounds simple, but in the middle of a fast conversation, the brain can easily mix them up.
It brings up another deep emotional layer, the concept of not enough. We live in a society driven by the fear of scarcity.
The hedonic treadmill. No matter what we achieve, it never feels like enough money or enough success.
Yes. And internally, people struggle with feeling good enough or smart enough. The negative form, not enough, is devastating.
If enough is the passing grade, not enough means you failed to meet the standard. That is why it carries so much emotional weight.
As an architect, I see clients stress over this constantly. They worry their home won't be big enough for their family. It causes literal sleepless nights.
It is fascinating how English vocabulary directly mirrors our internal fears. Let's shift gears and look at how these words interact with verbs.
You mean the to structure? Like, I am too tired to cook?
Exactly. This is where the hidden consequence becomes visible. I am too tired to cook. The tiredness is a problem that prevents the action.
And with enough, it proves you can do the action. I am energetic enough to go to the gym.
Perfect. You reach the standard necessary to perform the action. Let us do a real-life practice scenario. Imagine we are moving furniture out of your Minneapolis apartment in the dead of winter.
Oh, that sounds miserable. Okay, I am imagining it. There is ice everywhere.
I try to lift your solid oak drafting desk and I say, Elena, this desk is very heavy. What does that mean?
It means you are warning me that it is difficult, but you can still lift it. It is just a fact.
Correct. Now I try to lift it and I drop it immediately. I say, this desk is too heavy.
That means we cannot move it. It exceeds our physical limits. It is a problem, and we need to find another solution.
Spot on. Finally, we get a dolly. We strap the desk to it and we wheel it to the elevator. I ask, is the door wide enough?
And I reply, yes, it is wide enough, meaning the width of the door meets the minimum standard required for the desk to pass through.
Excellent. You passed the test. This distinction is the line between difficult but possible and completely impossible.
I want to ask about another tricky area. Too much versus too many. I hear people confuse these daily.
Countable versus uncountable nouns. This is a classic.
Right. In Minneapolis, we get too much snow. Snow is a mass. You cannot count individual snowflakes easily, so it is uncountable.
Exactly. You use too much with uncountable concepts like water, stress, time, or snow. But what about too many?
That is for things you can physically count. I have too many meetings today, or there are too many cars on the road.
Correct. But here is a nuance that surprises people. Can you say, I drank too many coffees?
Coffee is a liquid, so normally it is too much coffee. But if you mean individual cups of coffee, then yes, too many coffees make sense.
You got it. It depends on how you are framing it in your mind. the general liquid substance versus the countable cups.
This makes me realize how flexible English can be if you understand the underlying logic. It is not just rigid rules.
Language is deeply human. It reflects our intentions. Let us cover a few more common mistakes before we wrap up.
I am ready. Hit me with them.
Can you use very to intensify too? For example, can I say, it is very too hot?
No, that sounds completely wrong. Very too hot hurts my ears.
It should. You cannot stack them like that. If you want to make too stronger, you use words like way or far.
Right. It is way too cold outside. Or, that is far too expensive. We use those naturally all the time.
Exactly. And what if you want to intensify enough? You cannot say very enough.
You would use words that describe the margin of success, like barely enough or more than enough.
You are a natural at this. Barely enough means you were hanging on by your fingertips. More than enough means you exceeded the standard easily.
I feel like we just organized a messy drawer in my brain. Everything has a specific label now.
That is the goal. Very goes in the facts pile. Too goes in the problems pile. Enough goes in the standards pile.
And practically applying it changes how you connect with people. If I tell my team the deadline is very close, they will focus. If I say it is too close, they might panic.
The words we choose dictate the emotional reality we create, especially in high-stress environments like architecture or facing a Minnesota winter.
Speaking of which, I think my radiator just turned off. It might be getting very cold in here soon.
Well, let us hope it does not get too cold. Thank you so much for joining me today, Elena. Your perspective was invaluable.
It was a pleasure, Alex. I have enough notes from this session to improve my daily communication entirely.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Remember to watch your word order and stop telling yourself you are not good enough. We will see you in the next episode.